What the hell are we supposed to use, man? Harsh language?
I'm coming in hot today, boys. Coming in hot.
God.
I don't understand what has happened to movies. Focus up here. But
Hollywood.
no, this is a COVID thing, I think. The quality of everything in life has just plummeted during and after COVID. Namely chicken.
It's been on the decline, I would say longer than that, but sure.
I just
That's
cannot find a good piece of chicken. No matter where I order from, if I'm ordering food, I am avoiding chicken forever. It's gotten disgusting. But
buy it and cook
You
it.
gotta take your ass to the south.
Yeah.
No,
Go to
both.
Bojangles, bro.
Every time I order chicken from somewhere, it's got like that fucking fatty, grizzly shit in it. You know what I mean? Disgusting. Those chewy pieces. But movies have just gotten just terrible. I don't understand what has happened. And I watched Shazam the other night, the sequel.
Uh-oh.
What a terrible fucking movie that was.
It was not great.
I ain't seen it yet.
Great.
Don't watch it, Marvin. It's not even worth it. Because it requires you to watch the first one. And the first one was actually good. I was one of the firm... shut the fuck up, Siri. I was I was one of the firm defenders of that movie because amidst all the Zack Snyder fanatics, they didn't like that movie.
I actually think I waited a whole year and you were like, no, it's good. Watch it. No, it's good. You should really watch it. And I never watched it. And then I finally watched it. I was like, okay, yeah, this is a good film.
Were you just putting it off, or you were like afraid that
I was just like DC, what DC's been putting out? I was just like, meh.
Shazam took all the valid criticisms of the Snyder flicks and fixed them. It was a lighter tone. It was funny. It had humor. It was like lighthearted and heartfelt. Great fucking movie, Shazam. Best movie of the Snyder DC films, for sure. I don't know what the fuck happened in the sequel. Good Lord, that shit was bad. It was like not funny, and it was trying hard to be. I laughed, I think, one time. The fucking
once or twice, yeah. There's a couple giggles, but
the dialogue was like a child wrote it. Like I have used that criticism before, namely for Ant-Man, but this was like this is like a kid playing in a bathtub with his figures. Like
it was bad
type of dialogue, like the just simple-minded thing a child would come up with when playing with toys. It was so fucking bad, and the acting was terrible. Namely, Lucy Liu. She's in this movie as one of the villains. Good God, was she bad?
She was the only villain, really.
Well, yeah, technically,
because the other two.
Yeah.
Not to spoil
Lucy
anything.
Liu, the fucking
the Asian actress.
That's not what I was.
Yes,
I was
Marvin.
the Charlie's Angel.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure that's what I was going.
She was in the Charlie's Angels movies. Yes, and good God, was she bad in this movie?
Damn.
Everything that came out of her mouth.
Is she a good actress or?
I don't think so. Not anymore.
I feel like I only ever saw her at like Charlie's Angels. Oh, she was in Kill Bill.
Yeah, she was in Kill Bill.
Yeah, she's been in some good stuff. She's a good actress.
Horrendous fucking. It almost ruined my week. Honestly, like I didn't really care about it that much, and the trailer didn't make me that excited for it, and I kind of assumed it was going to be bad, but I didn't think it was going to be this bad. I didn't really have I didn't have skin in the game because I don't give a fuck about the DC anymore. You crying, Marvin? You sad that it sucked?
Bro, I just put this chapstick on and it's got like menthol in it, and it's like
your eyes
making me
are
cry. It's like Vicks vapor rub on my lips.
This fucking guy's leaking over there.
Good Lord, bro. Why do they put that shit in chapstick? I ain't never using this shit again.
Clip that.
Blistex, yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, my dad loves that shit.
I gotta get the regular shit. Can't be using that medical shit. I don't know what the fuck's going on. That's
a clip right there. That's gonna be a good short.
I'm on that deep dive conspiracy theory that if you use it, it cracks. If you use it and stop using it, it cracks your lips. So you have to keep using it.
Damn.
It's addictive.
Yeah.
Man. But yeah, that movie was fucking terrible. I just wanted to start the show by saying
not a great movie.
Terrible fucking
It was
movie.
a letdown. I agree.
Let me tell you what. My boy James Gunn's got some fucking work to do if he's going to turn this shit around. Yeah, that was bad.
He's got to put it on his back. We got to. I don't know if he could do it.
I don't know.
That's a lot.
I think he can.
Lives or dies off of Superman. I'll tell you what.
It's a
After
lot,
what he did
man.
with Guardians, I feel like he can turn DC into something that feels fulfilling.
Speaking of Guardians,
Yeah.
there's a lot of press stuff coming out now because the film's almost out, and I saw like a sizzle reel thing of like a behind the scenes, the actors talking about it and stuff, and it seems like this is going to be an emotional one, boys. Strap in.
Yeah.
And it feels very final too, given that he's obviously no longer part of the MCU, and all these actors are seemingly pretty much done with their roles in it.
That sucks.
It's the end of an era.
Yep, gonna be a tearjerker. Hey, listen, we said it before.
Actually, maybe it doesn't suck because if they just keep relying on the same old characters, yeah,
I mean,
maybe it won't be so good.
We've talked about it before. You go out on top, like with shows, right? Like, there's no reason to drag it out. Fucking 9-10 seasons, shit starts to get stale and old. And even my favorite show of all time, The X-Files, by like season 8 or 9, it's like, man, that shit is convoluted. It's hard to follow.
Damn.
That happens more frequently, I think, with shows that
of course,
have 20 episodes a
absolutely,
season. Shows that have 8.
That's a very old like TV style. We've talked about that before, too.
Yeah.
But
it's maybe coming back. Who knows? You know, we talked about that.
What have you guys been up to this week? You watching anything good or what?
I haven't been watching much. No, I haven't been watching much at all recently. Yeah.
Dusty, how about you?
I've been watching a few Rebels episodes. There's a couple that I wanted to go back and revisit because we had Star Wars Celebration this weekend, and we got the Ahsoka trailer.
Yep.
Talk about it in the news, but yeah, I've been touching up on my lore, Star Wars lore, getting ready for the new arc because it sounds exciting for me.
It does. Yeah, the way you hype it up is definitely got me excited for it, and I feel you on like getting back into the lore. I need to get back in because at one point when we were watching all the movies and preparing to do the show, I was super into it, and I've kind of waned my interest a little bit. So I need to get back into it. It is a lot. It is a lot.
There is a lot of content. It's like the MCU now. Like we talked about this before.
Yeah.
Because my roommate has not seen the MCU arc, even like the Endgame arc from the beginning in the first 10 or so years. And I was talking to Dan about like what movies are must watch versus what movies are skippable. And Dan was like, no. You make that motherfucker watch every one of those movies because it's the Endgame arc and it's amazing. And I'm like, yeah, that's good. But that's like 50, 60 hours of content. Whereas if you break it down to like 12, 13 movies instead of 24, it's a little bit easier to digest. So you got to find that middle ground.
I truly don't believe we'll see a better
You won't.
Comic book movie, DC or Marvel.
Any arc.
Series than the Infinity Saga, which is the first several phases of the MCU. Unless they come out really fucking strong when they get to their like Mutant Saga or potentially the Galactus stuff. But I think the X-Men is the only thing that could live up to that, but I don't think anything will.
That's true, yeah. I don't think Blade, like that type of stuff, would be able to carry enough interest or...
X-Men definitely could. If they do
X-Men,
it right.
I do agree.
X-Men's the only thing that could. And X-Men, because X-Men has the ability to be a really poignant narrative about current cultural tension, as it was when it came out, right? We've talked about this before. In the 60s, it was, I mean, the X-Men's about civil rights. So, you know, we're dealing with that today, just as we were in the 60s, and they have the ability to do that if it's done well and properly. So we'll see. But
I can see X-Men pulling it off.
Yeah,
I think, like you were saying, the movies have gotten worse post-COVID or during / post-COVID. And Endgame was like 2019, right before COVID. So it's like, maybe we won't see a better arc if they don't start putting some fucking love and care into the fucking movies again.
I don't know. I still hold strong on my theory that it's just quantity stuff, but we'll see what happens. But I mean, DC side of it, like that's a whole nother thing. I don't know how you make a good movie and then follow it up with a bad movie. I don't really understand how that happens, especially when it's made by the same guy. So I don't know.
That's weird for sure.
Yeah. They
call them one-hit wonders.
Yeah, they do call them that. That's why that term exists. Speaking of, I was catching up this week on, Dusty and I have been watching Yellow Jackets. I caught up on the most recent episode of that. Did you watch it, Dusty?
Episode, was it
3?
4 now or 3? Yeah. Yes, I have.
Is this show still good? Like, I can't figure it out. I was watching the last episode and I was like, I don't know what's going on here. Spoilers.
If you have to ask, it probably is not.
Well,
I feel like if a show is good, it jumps out and it's just immediately, okay, this is good.
Well, let me explain it. This show, Marvin, you're probably never going to watch it, so I'll just spoil it. The show's about a group of girls, a girls' soccer team. They're good. They're flying to a national tournament.
Yep.
And their plane crashes in the wilderness in the middle of nowhere. And
stuck there forever.
Well, not forever. They were there for like a year and a half, I think it was, or something like that. Yeah. And so the show takes place in present day with all the main characters as adults.
They've been rescued.
Yeah, they got rescued, and they're dealing. So the adults are dealing with
them as teenagers. Yeah.
The show flashes back between them as adults and them as teenagers. So you see them living in the woods, basically, and like figuring out how to survive. And
they found a cabin.
It gets kind of weird. They find a cabin with a dead body in it in the attic. They find there's these little symbols carved into trees all over the fucking
They get
woods.
ritualistic real quick.
And
real quick.
They're starting to go down. We knew that's where the show, because in the adult timeline, they're like hiding this secret, like, because one of the women, she's getting blackmailed and she doesn't know who it is. And it's like, I know what you did or whatever. Ooh. And it's like, okay, so from trailers and clips and stuff, you assume that like they became cannibalistic and like started doing all this like ritualistic stuff. So season 2 now is actually starting to like go down that path. You're seeing the actual cannibalism and probably what they're hiding, which is the fact that one of their close friends and teammates who never made it back, she froze to death and then they ate her body. Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, shit. Yeah, one of them's been like waking up in the middle of the night and eating dirt in the middle of the night the whole time. Anyways, she's just like
one of them.
It's weird.
She had a traumatic experience as a kid when her grandmother or grandfather was like in hospice or something, dying. She had visions as a child of like this like ghostly figure with no eyes. It's creepy, but she continues to have these visions. So now in the woods, she wakes up every night and she's sleepwalking and she's claiming she's following the man with no eyes. And he keeps taking her to these sections of the woods with these carvings in the trees. So there's 3 actual separate storylines in this show. There's the adults, and they're all dealing with their own like trauma of the thing that happened to them as kids. Then there's the storyline of what actually what happened to them in the woods, which is like the cannibalism and them trying to survive and becoming weird. And then there's the third storyline of what's going on with this one chick, which is the supernatural thing. But the supernatural thing, like, they tease it and it just doesn't ever go anywhere. And I'm like starting to get impatient. And I'm like, what the fuck is
the lady
happening?
that builds the cult up?
Well, she has visions. But season 1, the reason I'm annoyed is because in season 1, it was actually pretty well done. It was like, all this stuff seems like it's supernatural, but it's probably just like them dealing with trauma. But now they're like, oh no, it's like actual supernatural shit. But is it though? Like they're not really telling you. And it reminds me of what Lost did. And I never watched Lost back in the day. In fact, Elias and all my other friends,
I've never watched Lost.
They were like huge fans of Lost. And I knew from the beginning because I was an X-Files fanboy. And and I was like, this show has no clear path. They were like making it up as they go. And throughout the years of Lost, everybody was like, oh, yeah, they're just dead. They're just dead. They're just dead. And the creators of the show were like very adamant about like, no, that's not what's happening. And by the time the show ended, it was like, oh, guess what? They're dead. So I knew from the beginning that the show
Imagine.
really never had like a clear path. It seemed like they were just kind of throwing darts at a board for like story ideas each episode.
Yeah.
And this is now starting to feel that for me. But I don't know. I'm not enjoying it, but I'm starting to get a little concerned. Like, oh, did they bite off more than they could chew? Because it's not a
that
simple
trope, or can they fix it?
Well, it's just not a simple story that they're telling. They're telling like a bunch of different stories that don't seem to be going anywhere at this point.
It's very convoluted for sure.
Yeah. So I caught up on that, caught up on Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso continues to be amazing.
Nice. I still haven't started it. Not really.
It's an easy watch. You could watch that anytime. Superman and Lois. Last night I revisited an old favorite. I was bored, wanted to watch. I was looking for a good rom-com to watch, and there aren't many these days. And I watched an old favorite because we talked about it, I think, last week maybe or the week before. Forgetting Sarah Marshall. What a great movie. It's in my top 10 movies for sure of all time, not just comedies. Great fucking movie. I think I got on like a Jason Segel kick because I had watched Shrinking, and he's great in that.
That's what I want to watch. Yeah,
that was a really good show. But yeah, that's been my week. Just catching up on some stuff.
I'm trying to get Dan to watch Legion.
Yeah,
he has not seen that yet.
Yeah,
and it still irritates me.
That's fair.
You're a Noah Hawley fan. It's a Noah Hawley show.
I don't know if I'm not. Go ahead.
You're a Noah Hawley fan.
I don't know if I've seen. There was a Legion movie or something. I don't think it's related.
Yeah, there was a Legion movie. That's about angels and demons.
That's right.
The Legion show is about the Marvel character, Professor X's son, who has psychic abilities and all kinds of more abilities. Like, the show is a mind fuck. It's amazing. It was on AMC, I want to say.
Yes, I believe so.
Oh,
it's only like 3 or 4 seasons. But the show is a total mind fuck. It's an amazing show.
Just to be clear,
like Fargo and shows like that. It's definitely a must.
I'm not a Noah Hawley fan, to be clear. I'm just a fan of Fargo. The show is very good. Ebbs and flows to being very good, and like, all right. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe someday I'll check it out. But yeah, big news this week, Dusty. You mentioned it. Star Wars event.
Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah, let's get on with the news a little bit. Start talking about it.
All right. Yeah. We had Star Wars Celebration. I don't know. Did you guys watch any of it?
No. Just I watched the Ahsoka trailer.
That was the biggest thing to come out from it.
Yeah.
The Indiana Jones trailer was the second biggest thing.
I watched that. I saw the thing with Hayden Christensen like crying because of the fan reception to him.
It was emotional for a lot of people. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau got on stage. They got a bit emotional. It just seemed like this is a collection of fans getting together, enjoying the experience. They didn't really show a whole lot, I guess, to us.
Right.
I guess there were some trailers. The people that attended got a trailer for The Acolyte. They got to watch the newest episode of The Mandalorian, which is not out yet.
Yeah. I got emotional when I found out that Rey was confirmed to be coming back in a Star Wars film.
Yeah, somehow Palpatine returned.
Not good emotional.
Is a meme that continues beyond Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah.
And is now Rey Palpatine.
No, she renounced the name. She's Rey Skywalker, Dusty. Didn't you watch the movies?
Then she was gone, and somehow Rey Palpatine returned.
What are you talking about?
She gave her life to revive.
No. At the end of the movie, she's burying the lightsabers of Leia and Luke, and then some old woman comes by and is like, "What's your name?" And she goes, "I'm Rey. Rey Skywalker." And the movie ends. And crushed my childhood.
Yeah. I don't know. Rey movie. What are you gonna do? Well, we got a lot of stuff from Star Wars Celebrations though.
Tell us about it.
We got the Ahsoka trailer.
Yeah.
You guys watched that, right? We both watch it.
I did watch it. Yep.
This is something that's excited me the most about where we're going. I know Dan is not a big fan of the canon because it focuses too much on the Skywalker family and timeline, and he wants to see other stuff in the Star Wars universe, and that's fair. Ahsoka is pivotal to the Skywalker timeline because she is the Padawan of Anakin Skywalker. But it's probably the greatest story because she gets kicked out of the Jedi Order, proves herself to be innocent. They ask her back. She says no, just walks her own path. Ahsoka is probably one of the more interesting characters we've had in a while. We got to see the trailer. We got to see Hera and Chopper. Chopper. Probably the most intransigent character in Star Wars ever. This is a astrotech droid or astromech droid, I guess. Him and Zeb went on a mission one time, and they were supposed to blow up a TIE fighter, and there was a baby inside. And Chopper wants to blow the ship up, and Zeb's like, hey, there's a baby inside. Let's get the baby out, and then we'll blow it up. And Chopper's like, no, let's just blow this fucker up. Now he's speaking in droid, he's like, but you know what the fuck he's saying? Like, this guy wants to blow up a fucking ship with a baby inside. He doesn't even know the baby. This isn't like Anakin killing younglings. Like, these are Force users. I got to kill them. No, he's just like, hey, fuck that baby. Fuck them kids. We're blowing the shit up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got to see Hera and Chopper. Hera is OG Rebel. Great pilot. We saw Thrawn in the commercial or in the trailer. Back of his neck. We saw Zeb in The Mandalorian. Is that what it was?
I think so, yeah.
Dan? Yeah. We were watching it together, and I couldn't. His name escaped me. I was like, holy shit, that's him.
Yeah.
And Dan was like, who? I'm like, that he's from Rebels. I couldn't think of his name. I had to look it up. But it was Zeb.
I think what they're doing is they are, with the shows, with Mandalorian, with now Ahsoka, they're bridging the gap between the Rebel series and these series. And I think you worded it like they're doing their own sort of little endgame arc.
Yeah, they're cleaning up. They're cleaning up all the mess of the story, the questions you have for the new trilogy with Rey and stuff. Like, they're doing some cloning stuff in the stories.
Well, it's going to culminate in probably some sort of battle with Thrawn, as we know, and
Thrawn, absolutely. Yes.
Where
they're doing all these shows, and it's going to end in a movie.
And how this. Spoilers, Marvin, you haven't watched it, but like where the First Order comes from. When the new trilogy starts, Marvin, it's like it's like explained to you in the crawl in the beginning. It's like the First Order has risen from the ashes of the Empire, and you're just like supposed to accept it. So all these shows take place in the interim between Return of the Jedi and the new films, and it's like, okay.
Oh, right, okay.
But also, I just don't give a fuck. Ahsoka's cool. She's a very, like Dusty said, pivotal character. In fact, this is also why it pisses me off.
She's not a Jedi. That's why she's really the most fascinating.
She's also the person, aside from Padme, who was the closest to Anakin.
Yes.
So when Anakin turns, like, she's the most affected by it, other than Padme, of course.
Well, and she wasn't there, and she feels that. Like, that's something that you see through the Clone Wars and Rebels. Like,
because she feels that she failed him,
and she actually has a fight with Vader, where she has a dream, I think, and it's Hayden Christensen's voice, and he's like, you know what I've become, and it's Vader's voice, and she doesn't really believe it. But when she faces off with him, like, they're getting a fight, and she cuts his mask, and she sees that it's him, and she has this realization of, holy fuck, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And it's really, really sad, really sad.
She feels that she failed him. So, but like now.
She did, yeah.
So, okay. Now, so if we're getting this show, clearly it's going to focus on that, like her, like probably a little back and forth, but it's going to largely deal with that. It's like, why the fuck did we need the Obi-Wan show? Like,
well, they kind of explored that, I think. I don't know that it's going to focus on that. I think we're going more towards Admiral Thrawn, because Thrawn, he's the Chiz, I think is what the species is called. Chiz.
He's a jizz?
Chiz.
Oh my God.
Chiz or Chiz. I forget.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're like a species that are supreme, and they're out in the uncharted areas. And he decides to join the Empire to test the limits of the Empire to see if they're worthy of being fought. Like, it was all a secret ploy, like double agent type deal. But he gets in this fight with Ezra Bridger and shipped off to the middle of nowhere with some space whales. It's a fascinating story.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
if Filoni,
Ahsoka, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have a vision in all these shows that we've talked about. We've complained a little bit about it. Mandalorian ended on a cliffhanger, and it was resolved in Boba Fett. So if you didn't see Boba Fett, you don't know. And then Mandalorian started right back up.
Well, again, we know. I think. Well, we don't know, but it's pretty evident that was not their decision. So under creative circumstances, they have been doing good stuff. Mandalorian is mostly pretty good.
Yeah. So they're gonna keep doing these shows, and it's gonna culminate in a movie, which, like you said, will be an Admiral Thrawn fight.
Yeah.
If you're a Clone Wars fan, you know some of this. If you're a Rebels fan, like this is Rebels lore right now, and the Rebels really the OG of the rebellion. Like Ezra Bridger, who was Force user. Probably more OG of a rebel than Luke Skywalker, if you wanted to argue it, because he's been in the mix for a while.
Yeah, my position won't change. I'd rather see stories like Andor, and that doesn't mean it has to be as cinematic and like gritty and whatever as Andor was, because that's flash in the pan. But just people who like don't really have anything to do with anything else, really, and like.
Which we'll likely get with Skeleton Crew. I think they talked about the cast, about it's some kids, they're swept up into an adventure in the universe and come across the paths of some people important along the way, but it's really just their adventures. So,
well, again, the thing that was great about Andor that I think all agreed on is like, while yes, he goes on to have like a very big role in the overall grand story of Star Wars. Well, stealing the plans at the Death Star and passing it off to Leia and all that. But really, it's a very it's a story about just a very small part of the rebellion, and like
sure,
and that's the city in Andor. I can't think of the name of it, but like those are the stories that I want to see. Like that's fucking cool to me. I don't know. Like I'm said it many times. Like I'm over the fucking like mythology of the Skywalkers. It's long overdone.
Right.
And it's fine too, like with what they do in Mandalorian, like every now and then, like, oh Luke, oh shit, it's Luke Skywalker. What's he up to? Oh, he's building his fucking Jedi temple. Cool. Next scene. Like those things are kind of cool to pop up here and there, but like I know what they're doing. They are doing a lot of like construction on like.
It's kind of the sad thing if you've seen all of this stuff. Like if you've watched Clone Wars and Rebels, because in some of those episodes, like. They're rescuing younglings to save them from the Sith trying to do whatever their cloning shit is. And if you know the lore, you know that Luke, brings them all to this temple and then the whole temple burns down and they all die anyways. Kind of sad. Knowing the end of the story, it kind of sucks.
Well, that stuff is interesting.
Some of the characters they develop are fascinating along the way, but some of them aren't. It's just like
I think it's really cool that they've finally revealed that Grogu is like a youngling that got away. But like, why is he getting special treatment? Like that's an interesting plot line that will obviously eventually flesh out. But I don't know, whatever. So what else was announced at this thing?
Bad Batch, Star Wars Bad Batch. This is another animated show that I actually enjoy. It's getting a third and final season.
Okay.
Third and final season. This is one where they cloned a girl of Jango Fett. So Boba Fett has a sister. She is an unmanipulated clone. She ages regularly. Doesn't have any changes or anything. So she runs around with some clone troopers. That's what the Bad Batch is. It's 3 seasons. It was actually 2 seasons right now. They're having a third and final season. They ask writer Jennifer Corbett about whether or not Omega, who is Boba Fett's sister, if they'd meet. And she responded with where Boba Fett is at this moment is a very different path to Omega's. They're on different journeys at the moment, so it doesn't look like they're going to come across each other. It would be an interesting story.
Is Bad Batch present?
Brother, sister clones.
Not present. Post Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Because the Boba Fett show
because
is
Boba Fett is a kid. Boba Fett is a kid right
So this
now.
is back during the Clone Wars then.
Yeah, this is when Boba Fett and Omega are both, they're probably 15-ish, I want to say right now, so they're kids. So this is
So a little after the Clone Wars, because Boba Fett we saw
this is a little after the Clone Wars, yeah.
Because in Attack of the Clones, I believe Attack of the Clones, or was it Revenge of the Sith? I can't remember. We see him like deal with Boba Fett. They like ship him off or whatever, hide him, whatever they do.
Yeah, he shows up in the cartoons a couple times. I don't know if it's Rebels in the final season or not, but
cool.
Yeah. So yeah, Bad Batch. That's getting one more season. It's a pretty good show. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Obi-Wan Kenobi, season 2.
Oh,
not in active development, Dan.
Oh, nice.
However, Kathleen Kennedy says never say never.
Yeah, of course. God. Kathleen Kennedy is like the most executive of all time. Makes the worst fucking decisions.
Milk it, Dan. But yes, it's not an active development. Apparently, Ewan McGregor would love to do a second season, but they have no plans for it, and it's not in development. So that's one you could say maybe put it to bed. We'll see. Anywho, April 28th, in celebration of the film's 40th anniversary, Return of the Jedi will be heading back to the big screen and will remain there until the beginning of May. I think it's May 1st in the UK, May 4th in the US.
That's always fun.
So if you have not seen Return of the Jedi, you can go see it at the big screen for its 40th anniversary between, what did I say, April 28th and May 4th. At maybe a theater near you, maybe not. If you live in BFE, sorry about your problems.
That's interesting. Always fun. Yeah. Maybe I would go check that out.
Maybe that might be a good one to go see.
I've seen none of the Star Wars movies in theaters, so
none. Return of the Jedi would be a good one to see.
That is a good one.
Actually,
I'm
sure it'd be down there where you are. It'd be in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, for sure.
I think when one of the new Halloween films came out, they had re-released Halloween, the original, in theaters temporarily. I went to see it. It was a great experience.
Yeah.
For me, anyway.
Yep.
But I cried when Jamie Lee Curtis was called up for her Oscar, and the announcer over the loudspeaker was like, 45, starting her career in the genre-defining Halloween, 45 years later, acted as producer on the final film in the series. So I'm a softie for that stuff. Also cried, speaking of Star Wars in theaters, when I went to see The Force Awakens, even though that movie was terrible, I cried when A Long Time Ago in a Galaxy Far, Far Away popped up on the screen. I was like, I can't believe this. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Well, during the Star Wars Celebration festivities, Mr. Mangold,
my boy,
confirmed,
that
he's not only directing, but actually also writing. This is actually not Disney. This is WB.
Right.
Writing the script for Swamp Thing.
Oh.
As well as writing and directing a script for Star Wars. He's making a Star Wars feature film. That was actually
okay.
The news, but he did confirm that he is not just directing the Swamp Thing movie for DC. He's actually writing the script. So Mangold is helming Swamp Thing. I actually have good hopes for this.
Hey, listen.
Why is this important? Who is this Mangold guy?
James.
He's a great filmmaker.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if I've seen.
He made Logan, which is arguably the greatest comic book movie ever made.
Yeah.
Got it.
He's done some things.
He's done some other good movies too. The Greatest Showman, not a comic book movie. Ford v Ferrari, which is great. He's just a very good filmmaker. Some
good things. Yes.
And nice. Swamp Thing is a great character who has never really had cinematic justice. Had a brief moment of good justice in the show that they had put out that got canceled after one season.
Yeah.
So
I still need to watch that show.
It was great. So good. But yeah, he's done a bunch of good movies.
So he's writing and directing The Swamp Thing, and he's also writing and directing a Star Wars movie. We'll see. Kathleen Kennedy actually talked about the Taika Waititi's Star Wars film.
Say that again?
You say it.
Taika Waititi?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I ain't stutter.
He's apparently still writing the script. They're going to let him write the script. He doesn't want to be bothered while he's writing the script. So the Taika Star Wars film is still happening. She announced that while she was also saying, the whole Obi-Wan season 2 is not in development. I forgot to mention that when I said that, but yeah. That's pretty much it for the Star Wars celebration. We did, like I said,
real quick. Another James Mangold film that I think would probably have to be a make Marvin watch someday. Copland. Fantastic movie.
Yes.
From the 80s.
Sly.
1997, not the 80s, I'm sorry.
Kills it. And
Sylvester
Ray Liotta,
Stallone,
R.I.P.
Ray Liotta, Harvey Keitel, Robert De Niro, a lot of heavy hitters.
Banger of a cast. I love that movie.
Yep, great movie.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah. Some other things we got from this weekend. We got a Peter Pan and Wendy trailer.
Did we? I didn't see that.
You guys watch that?
No.
Live action? You care about it at all?
No.
I like Peter Pan.
Yeah, one bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's hitting Disney Plus on April 28th, so it'll be available digitally, so we could watch it.
Who's playing Peter Pan?
I don't know. Some kid.
Let's see.
Alexander Maloney.
Peter Pan or Wendy or anybody. Tinkerbell. Don't know. Don't care.
Who's playing?
I told you
I'm sick.
I'm kind of
Jude Law's playing Captain Hook.
Yes. Jude Law actually looks okay as Captain Hook.
We got
a trailer. You get a teaser of the Croc with the TikTok. If you do watch the trailer, Croc looks fucking big and amazing.
Ooh, we got a black Tinkerbell, healed, #healed.
Yeah. It's going to be a woke one.
Yep.
I mean, I'm done with the live action shit anyways. Like Hook was good. But
Jim Gaffigan's playing Smee. Oh man. This I probably will watch.
I'm going to watch it regardless just because like Peter Pan is the one I'll give a pass to for live action. Because you guys know me. I like Disney stopped turning animated into live action, but they did it a long time ago with Peter Pan.
But so. Is this a live action remake of the film, the Disney film Peter Pan?
No, it's more. It's just apparently supposed to be a more. I don't know how close of a rendition to the novel it is or not.
Well, it says live action adaptation of J.M. Barrie's classic tale, so
supposed to be a closer adaptation of the novel.
But I'm saying it's not going to be the Disney a recreation of the Disney film that had like music and shit in it, like singing and all that.
I mean, it's Disney. There's going to be music and shit, I'm sure, but
I don't know. Maybe not.
Better be.
Nah, Hook was great.
Out if they don't fucking.
I don't know.
They got a lot to live up to, baby. Hook is the goat.
Yeah.
I don't know if I saw Hook, to be honest.
Really?
Robin Williams played Peter Pan.
It's such a fucking beautiful movie.
What?
He plays an old Peter Pan. He's an old man who's like
that might actually be the next Make Marvin watch.
He's like a fucking lawyer who's like jaded and he's not really around for his kids or whatever.
Oh, wow.
Dustin Hoffman as Hook.
Yeah. And then his kids get kidnapped by Captain Hook and he has to go to Neverland to save them. And the whole time he doesn't remember who he is because when he left Neverland, he like lost his memory. So the movie's about him slowly remembering and getting his powers back to save his kids, and it's fucking
Bangarang, Marvin. Bangarang.
Basically, Neil Gaiman's the fucking
basically.
Yeah. There's a little bit of that. Sandman.
Anyway, yeah.
Sandman?
No, not Sandman. But
that's right.
Is actually the same. I read the what I told you I read.
I forgot you were on the Neil Gaiman kick.
It was the Marvels, I think.
The Marvels?
Yeah.
American Gods? Good Omens?
No, the Marvels.
Oh.
He did didn't he? No.
I don't know what you're talking about, Marvin.
I told you what it was then.
I don't remember.
Give me a sec. Keep going.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
He'll figure it out.
So I did talk briefly about we got the Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny trailer was also released this weekend.
Yep.
Harrison Ford made a brief excerpt for the Star Wars celebration. Nothing fancy. Some of the conversations were interesting. Some of them weren't. But he showed up and they basically just to promote his movie, Indiana Jones. Comes out June 30th. Did you guys watch this?
The Indiana Jones trailer?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen any Indiana Jones movie ever.
All right.
Just gonna go ahead and say it now before I get flamed.
Wait.
You're going to get flamed if you said it. If you kept it a secret, I wouldn't have said it.
You have not seen any of them?
I can't recall an Indiana Jones
Not seen a one
movie plot line.
Cancel the podcast. We're failing. We're failing.
Also, it was Eternals that I was thinking of. Neil Gaiman did his own take on Eternals, and it was great. And it was the same thing. They basically forget who they were, and then they slowly regain. Yep.
He
does that a lot, huh?
I don't know if we do Last Crusade or Temple of Doom, Dan. Last Crusade or Temple of Doom.
Why would we not just do the original, like Raiders of the Lost Ark? What are you even saying right now? No, you stop what you're saying. Okay. Temple of Doom sucks, first of all, comparatively to the other two.
No, it doesn't.
It's not as good as Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it's not as good as The Last Crusade. So, and Last Crusade is not as good as Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's good, but it's not as good as Raiders of the Lost Ark. Raiders of the Lost Ark is a timeless classic, unchanged. It will never be beat in the action-adventure, treasure hunting genre.
It's a good one.
Period. End of story.
Belongs in a museum.
And you better pick it next month.
Okay.
1981.
But yeah, Dial of Destiny.
Ooh,
trailer came out. Comes out June 30th. It looks all right. I don't know. He's what, 75, 80.
I don't want to see a 75-year-old man running around and like dodging bullets and doing all this shit. Like enough.
I'm kind of the same. Crystal Skull was so bad. I
Samaritan
think he felt
vibes.
like he had to make a better one to close out the career of Indy.
No, they'll probably pass the torch on to a female hero.
Well, that's I mean, his goddaughter,
Black Indiana Jones.
Marvin, there were no black people in the 40s and 50s. Come on.
It just didn't exist.
No.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge plays his goddaughter in this, so she'll probably take the helm.
Yep.
There was rumors that Chris Pratt might maybe take the Indy mantle, but Harrison Ford says, "When I die, Indy dies."
Yeah.
So if there's any other Jones character, it's not going to be Indiana fucking Jones. It's going to be somebody else.
Enough.
Dead.
Like that's what I said to you. Yeah. I was arguing with you about fucking Black Panther. Black Panther's a little bit different because he has like a big legacy in the comic books, and there are plenty of other Black Panther stories in which he should and could be a part of. But like when a person plays a character so well and embodies what that character stands for and all that shit, it's like just put it to bed. It's over. We don't need to make
Joker
more.
Should have been the last Joker.
Heath Ledger. We don't need to make more Indiana Jones films. Like, we just don't. It's over. We had them.
Some would say Jack Nicholson.
No one would say that. Well, they'll never go away. They'll never go away. And that's that.
Yeah.
And my argument about the Joker is not because Heath Ledger died. It's just because enough of the fucking Joker. We'll never see a better Joker than Heath Ledger. And we've seen the Joker done to death. It's like bored already. I'm bored of it. Marvin. A good entry to comic books for you, just so you know.
Okay.
Being that you're on a Neil Gaiman kick. Check out his Batman one-off called Whatever Happened to the Cape Crusader. It's very good. It's a 2-part issue. And it basically serves as... You never read it, Dusty?
No. I was telling Marvin
to write you should write it down, too.
Yeah, I am. I'm putting it in my phone right now.
It serves as the last Batman story in the wake of severe psychological trauma that Batman endures. Within the story is the story called Batman R.I.P. And this is basically his final outing.
All right. I love this Neil Gaiman, so.
Yep, he's great.
Whatever Happened to the Cape Crusader.
That's right.
Got it.
Marvin, have you watched Peacemaker yet?
No, I have not.
I haven't either.
Heard good things.
Dan's a big fan.
Of what?
Peacemaker?
Peacemaker? Yeah.
The show?
Yeah.
Yeah. John Cena?
Yeah, it was great.
James Gunn? DC?
You never watched it yet?
I have not watched it yet, no.
Real quick, one other thing I just want to say about Whatever Happened to the Cape Crusader, Marvin. There was a in the 70s and 80s, there was an effort to, so you have what's called the golden age of comics, and it's like the early like 40s and 50s and 60s comic book era. And then you have the silver age of comics, which is like the 70s and 80s and probably 90s. And there was an effort in the 70s and 80s to sort of bridge the gap between these two. And this story, Whatever Happened to the Cape Crusader, is one of those stories that served to do that. There was also another one written by Alan Moore, another very famous and enigmatic comic book writer, did The Watchmen. He did a last Superman story called Superman Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, which is also very, very good.
Yeah, he's a great writer.
Okay.
Eccentric and crazy, but yes, he's a great writer. Yes, Peacemaker is amazing.
You looking forward to season 2?
Yeah.
Well, it's not coming out anytime soon. Good luck.
That's fine. He's got a lot on his plate.
James Gunn has said that it will come out after Superman Legacy.
That's
so
fine.
If you're hoping for it to come out anytime soon,
nope.
Do not do that. It's not coming out. Superman Legacy is going to hit, and then he'll do Peacemaker season 2, which will help.
I'd rather see a good Superman movie. And also, speaking of Peacemaker, I was a little surprised that the mid-credit scene at the end of Shazam was Peacemaker related. That like Amanda Waller had the two agents go like track him down. I wonder if that was done after the fact, because this movie came out after the James Gunn announcement happened, the takeover, and like the complete destruction of the Zack Snyderverse. So I wonder if this was shot and added after the fact.
I don't know, maybe.
Which makes me wonder again, how much of the Snyderverse are they planning on keeping and maintaining for their new shit?
I don't think much, if at all.
Okay, good. Get rid of it all. Throw it in the pit. Throw it in the hole. Get it out of here. I'm sick of it.
It's about the only piece of WB news we have, actually. We can move on to the etc.
I love
Mario
the Brothers section.
Mario Brothers movie has made $377 million so far.
Let's go.
5 days.
Not bad.
This is the biggest movie of the year. And what Avatar, I think, is 2.6 billion over 15 years? And Mario Brothers did 400 million in a week, less than a week.
Let's go.
Mario, of course you're gonna
listen. I saw an amazing tweet. It was like a picture. It was like basically a Nintendo like MCU. It's like a Nintendo's fucking cinematic universe. And they had like all these movies planned out, and at the end, one of the big star movies would be like Smash Brothers, and I was like, oh my god, that would be fucking sick.
Smash Brothers movie.
I wish I would have saved the tweet. Like that was a cool little.
You posted an interesting thing about the fact that on Rotten Tomatoes the audience score is 96% fresh currently. Not fresh. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's 96% fresh, but the critic consensus is 56% rotten.
For Mario?
Yeah. And just to read a little rotten review
Shout out
here.
to Owen. That's why I said it.
Critics don't know shit.
When it is all said and done, it is intensely mediocre. Prettier than a lot of animated mediocrity, but pretty only takes us so far.
It's the biggest animated movie ever with the numbers it brought in the first weekend.
So, but I wonder why, though. See, this review seems legit. It's a fresh review, but he says adults might wish there were a few sharper jokes, but at least there's a nice deliberate silliness in the way the film delivers the required scenes without fussing over explanations.
Well,
Nintendo's not going to put in these adult-themed jokes. They're not.
Yeah, I know.
Miyamoto had a serious hand in this, and I think he was staunch on keeping true to the games. It's about an adventure. It's a simple adventure. There's no real political message or anything. It's like, hey, this is just a fun adventure.
Yeah.
No deep meaning.
There's
really.
lots of Easter eggs. If you play the games, to love it. There's really nothing wrong with this movie. It's a benchmark, actually, if you want to make a video game movie, is what they're saying.
This
to how to
says-
make it successful.
True.
Don't get too political. Make it fun for the kids. Make the adults enjoy
Nostalgic.
parts of it, and
Yep.
This
move
says
on to the
here,
next one.
a frantic Easter egg hunt of a film that does the bare minimum to please its loyal existing fan base.
Blah,
All
blah,
these
blah.
critics, you know what it is? These fucking critics, they're just mad that
Mhm.
every time they play Rainbow Road, they can't stay on the fucking course.
I'm one of those
Yeah.
critics. I am terrible at Rainbow Road. But critics do this shit with the Marvel films too, or like any comic book
Right.
movie. Like
Yeah.
if it's not some fucking Martin Scorsese like mafia film, they fucking hate it.
like
not-
they just can't enjoy the simple things.
Yeah,
bro.
not everything's got to be that.
It's like
fucking
that joke
deep.
you were making about in the menu with the fucking this
Yeah.
is it's,
Yeah,
it's
that's
too
what
much
they
of
are.
that.
It's
too much of that going
like
on.
you're allowed to have some fun. Not everything's got to be some fucking crazy fucking cinematic masterpiece.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't have to
it's-
leave
it's-
like I just watched a Jordan Peele movie every
Mhm.
time. I
It's
leave
7.5 on IMDb, so it'll be interesting when we get to watch it and review it to see
Yeah.
what we all think.
For sure.
Because highly rated right now. Highly.
theaters.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
What
All
else you
right.
got
Well,
for us?
Now let's go back to old James Mangold.
Yeah, let's do it.
He gave us an update on his Bob Dylan biopic starring Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
Movie starts filming in August, and Mr. Chalamet will be doing his own singing in the movie. I guess not that it's just too difficult, because I don't think Bob was known for his vocal cords. Maybe more
Oh shit, you about to fucking
Writing.
piss somebody off.
writing
Me.
ability. Yeah,
What are you even fucking saying, bro?
he's a great musician.
Shit.
Great singer.
His song,
Uh,
his voice fit his songs.
Sure,
He-
absolutely.
he didn't have
I
a
don't
f-
deny that at all.
Okay.
I think that he was a person who fit in the niche. He sang the way he sang, and it was amazing. And I don't deny that. I'm just saying I don't think that he's an amazing singer. There are people when you want to think like people with amazing vocal cords. Maynard James Keenan would be somebody that might come to mind.
I don't even know
Bob
who that is.
Dylan.
That's because people love to hate Bob Dylan because he's fucking.
I don't hate Bob Dylan.
Not
I
you.
think he's
Not you.
okay.
I'm saying people who
I'm just
criticize his voice.
saying-
He has plenty of albums from the mid to early 70s where he actually sings.
Does Willie Nelson have an amazing voice?
I think sometimes, yeah, in some songs.
Okay.
I'm just
That's
saying.
fair.
There are artists that when
I
they
mean,
want to do it,
singers
they
are going
can.
to sing, and singing styles are very different.
But no,
And there are people who would
Yeah.
denigrate Bob Dylan's singing style.
you are
And that's
correct.
I would say that's somewhat fair, although I think he's a great musician.
Dylan is not known for his singing, correct? He is known for his
Okay.
breathtaking and timeless and unequal songwriting, correct? Yes.
He's a lyricist.
I was once browsing in a convenience store. I don't remember why, but I picked up a Rolling Stone magazine, and fucking Lil Wayne was being compared to Bob Dylan by the writer of this article, and I just about burned the store down.
That's a fair comparison.
Yeah, oh yeah, sure, Marvin. Yeah.
If you ask me.
Yep.
Shout out Lil Wayne. I love
Shout
Lil
out.
Wayne. He's a Green Bay Packers fan. I love that man.
Let's go. Dan's just a fucking Lil Wayne hater. I don't know why.
Yeah.
He's because he's bad.
Always been, always will be. I don't know what it is.
Lil Wayne is also a lyricist.
Mm.
He's
Yeah,
put
he
out
got
some
bars.
bangers.
Yeah,
He's
sure. He
Got
some
more bars than fucking Bob Dylan, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Can we need to get past this
I ain't
conversation
never seen-
as fast as possible.
I ain't never seen Bob Dylan freestyle shit.
Bob Dylan won a fucking Nobel Peace Prize. Did Lil Wayne win a
I don't
Nobel
give a
Peace
fuck.
Prize? Yo,
What was
I
the
mean-
Nobel Peace Prize?
Obama fucking had Bob Dylan perform for him at the fucking.
Obama's a
Obama
war
won
criminal.
Nobel Peace
He is
Prize
a war
for-
criminal. That's true. Yes, that is
Yeah.
true.
Don't give a fuck about that.
I'm just saying.
Okay, so in an interview with CBR, Russell Crowe conveyed some words
Again.
he had heard from the director himself, J.C. Chandor, about Craven the Hunter. Dan. So this one might interest you. JC basically said it's an unexpectedly dark world, and he's excited about what's in front of him and how the audience is going to purvey it. This is one coming from Sony. We've heard some mixed things about Kraven the Hunter.
You're confusing me.
Russell Crowe is involved in this movie.
Okay, is he? I didn't know that.
Yes.
What was the recent thing that...
He was doing an interview with CBR about his movie, The Exorcist, but the writer was like, I'm with CBR. I have to ask you about Kraven the Hunter.
Sure. What was the recent Kraven thing that like we got all upset about? What they were making it about like he's not...
Well, there was, I think it was misconstrued that Kraven was actually going to be an animal lover and not a hunter. But I think the message there got misconstrued a little bit, and that he's more of a conservationist hunter, and that like he's not there to trophy hunt everything, anything, and everything, but he will hunt things like a traditional hunter.
Well, he hunts
would.
the greatest game, the most dangerous game,
Sure.
really. But
he's like Predator.
Yeah, basically.
But and he also hunts necessary game, but he doesn't hunt. He doesn't hunt unnecessary game, and I think that's where like the messaging got off track. Is like he's an animal lover. Right. Well, it's actually Kraven the Hunter. He's not supposed to be an animal lover. Well, conservationists traditionally are animal lovers.
Yeah, of course.
To be fair,
they're conservationists. They conserve. But
correct.
Now, very important thing I have to say here. I didn't know that J.C. Chandor was doing this. Yeah. He is one of the greatest modern filmmakers.
It's his movie. He's doing with Sony.
Okay, I'm
and
back.
Russell Crowe's involved.
I'm back on board. All Is Lost, which we talked about recently, is one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life.
Well, I'm glad I was able to bring you around on that. I was confusing at first, but
and Margin Call is great. Most Violent Year is great. Triple Frontier is great. J.C. Chandor is the fucking man. I'm back on board with this fucking movie.
But the words from JC were, it's an unexpectedly dark world, and he's excited about what's in front of him and how the audience is going to purvey this, because, you know, Sony has done, we all know Dan is not a fan of Sony comic book movies.
No, but again,
he's hated every single one of them. Everyone. There's not a one in their library that he could be like, that's good. He hates them all.
Well, no, the old Spider-Man movies are good.
Okay.
There we go.
The original trilogy.
Yeah, minus the third one, but yeah. But yeah, I didn't know about the Chandor diff. That's a huge diff. That's like huge. I'm excited about this.
Okay, good.
I hope I don't. Yes, Marvin. Margin Call is about is about people at an investment bank over a 24-hour period during the early stages of the 2008 financial crisis. It's a great movie, but All Is Lost is the one that movie blew me away. There is not. There might be one line of dialogue in that whole movie, and it is the most riveting, edge of your seat, fucking white knuckle fucking movie you've ever seen in your life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic. It's about Robert Redford. He's like a sailor or whatever, and he's just out on a sail, and he gets fucking caught in a storm, and the rest of the movie's about him surviving out at sea. Oh my god, it's so fucking good.
That's a great movie.
Yeah. And
have you guys seen Arcane?
No, I don't think so.
Arcane, the
League of Legends show.
It's fucking it's amazing.
Dan has not seen it. Dan's not a big animated guy though.
No, I'm not. Zampa told me to watch it. Zampa said it's good even if you don't like League of Legends.
Zampa watched it? That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Actually, Zampa watches a lot of stuff.
He does.
Zampa, yeah. Well, unfortunately, Riot Games CEO Nicola Laurent has confirmed that the season 2 sequel is not happening this year. Probably going to be closer to next year. They were actually worried about the first season. They didn't know if it was going to be popular. So before they renewed and repurchased for season 2, they wanted to wait to see how season 1 did. Season 1 blew up. Everybody loved it. And so they're behind. Good. They're behind on like scheduling everything. But it's happening.
They got to trust it. Like they didn't trust it. Now we got to suffer. Thanks.
Well, and the problem with that is like I can respect that, and I'd almost rather wait.
True. That's true.
Then for them to put out a second season that sucks and a third season sucks more and a fourth season sucks. Like don't just pump out content because you can. Like
Right.
watch and make it good and see what works and what doesn't and change it. Like I'm okay with waiting a little while.
I
But
am. You're right.
in this day and age, not everybody is.
Yeah.
So, speaking of animated stuff, Netflix has announced a Stranger Things animated series is in the works with the Duffer Brothers and their new
Spinoff.
business that they have, the Upside Down. What do they call it?
They started a production company.
Production company, yeah. But this Netflix Stranger Things animated series is going to be in the style of classic Saturday morning cartoons. So I would imagine like Ghostbusters or Gargoyles or He-Man,
Smurfs
or X-Men, Smurfs, something like that. Yeah, Saturday Batman.
When I think of, honestly, I'm younger, so when I think of Saturday morning cartoons, it ranges so ridiculously. I'm like, that could mean literally fucking anything.
You don't know shit about Saturday morning cartoons, Marvin.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
You don't know shit.
I don't know shit.
Used to wake up on Saturday.
80s and 90s Saturday morning cartoons.
Used to fucking get
that
the
was
fucking
peak.
X-Men, Batman the animated
Before
series,
the internet.
I think of X-Men, but I also think
Before
of like
the internet,
Yu-Gi-Oh.
that was what kids did, man.
Yeah.
What'd you
guys
say
are
you think of?
spoiled.
I think of X-Men, but I also think of like Yu-Gi-Oh. I think of fucking, there was a Sonic show.
The Sonic show was good. There was two Sonic shows. I don't know if you guys remember this. There was one that was like goofy and fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And then there was one that was like actually serious, and Dr. Robotnik was like actually scary.
Yeah.
That one was good. I remember that shit.
But yeah, I guess we'll see. I mean, it's interesting. Stranger Things is a good world, so I'll take a look.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Spinoff, make some money off the name. I think a cartoon would be interesting. If it's anything like X-Men 97 or the X-Men.
Why don't they just do something else that's not Stranger Things? This is where I get pissed off, is because like
they stay,
like you have
stay in the universe, you make the money.
Yeah, but they're very good.
The lore.
They've made the fucking money.
Yeah, they're very.
Ain't no way they made the money.
They're very creative. They're good directors and writers. Clearly, like go off and do other stuff. Now, I always found it interesting. Well, I mean, I don't know if a lot of people know this. I think I've mentioned it before. The Duffer Brothers were originally supposed to make the It films that recently came out. And because they didn't actually land that project, they developed their own version of It, and which was Stranger Things. I want them to do some other shit. Let them make a Nightmare on Elm Street.
God exists, Dan. That's why, because we got Stranger Things.
But see, I'm okay with it. There are certain times where I'm not okay with like you gets to a point where you're just objectifying a brand. But I think it's okay to explore a brand's universe. It'd be like if somebody came up to us and said, "Okay, you guys' podcast is popularly amazing. You should just stop doing that and go do a political podcast." Would we stop watching movies and reviewing movies and film? And would we do that just to do something different?
I think it's different. I think that would be a fair comparison if we were like a niche, though. Like if we were only doing horror movies and they were like, "Oh, you guys should do more than horror movies."
Yeah, that's fair.
But in this case, we're doing like all kinds of shows and
Hey,
shit.
everybody says we should niche down. That's the ticket. Just do horror movies. But so they've
it's only the people you listen to.
What?
Only the people you listen to.
Oh, no, I actually didn't hear what you said. Yeah, they had also announced, I think you brought this up at one point in your news, they had announced that they're doing a series adaptation of Stephen King's The Talisman. So that's exciting.
Yes. That one is exciting. We did cover that, yeah.
Very good.
No news on that yet, but the animated series looks interesting. So we'll see. But that's all the news we have for this week. Cool. Not a whole lot, even less for WB. It's Star Wars week, so there's some good stuff. There's actually some good interviews. If you go to the Star Wars YouTube channel, I wouldn't recommend listening to all of them. I think Giancarlo's interview was bombastic. But there were some good ones. The Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau interview was really good. The one with Katie Sackhoff was really good. So there's some good stuff. Go check it out.
Cool.
You're a Star Wars fan.
I'll think about it.
Yeah.
So that's it for the news?
It is.
All right, Dusty, thank you for the news. Marvin, real quick, though, if you're into reading, you should just do like a Stephen King fucking binge read.
Just all of the shit.
Yeah, it's everything. Great. I mean, I could name a few that I would recommend off the top of my head.
The Gunslinger series?
Yeah, the Gunslinger series is a big commitment, but like namely, but that's like 1,400 pages. I don't know if you could handle that.
1,400, that's good.
It's a lot of pages.
That's good reading.
It's a thick-ass book. It's great, though. Worth it.
Yeah.
Dune's a good read.
It's not Stephen King. We were talking about Stephen King. But yeah, no,
Curveball.
Could always read Dune. But all right, let's talk about today's movie, folks. Once a month, either Dusty or I, we alternate in picking a movie that we think Marvin should see that he hasn't seen. And this month was my pick, and I chose 2007's Children of Men. 2006's Children of Men. I apologize.
2006 takes place in 2027.
Yeah,
that's why I threw you off.
let's pour one out for the homie fucking Jasper. Went out like a fucking straight G. Pulled my finger.
Yes, he did. I thought he was gonna pull a fucking terrorist fucking type of deal. Like they pull his finger and he just blows the whole fucking crew up. I was like, damn.
Yeah,
that did not happen.
I don't know that there's a Michael Caine movie I can cite that I don't enjoy.
Yeah, he's great. Legend.
That man is a legend.
You ever see
treasure? You
ever see the original? What was the movie they remade that he was originally in with Stallone? Get Carter. Have you ever seen the original Get Carter?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Great.
Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of his FX movies too.
Yeah,
those are great.
Not often, folks, when we watch a movie, does Marvin react in the Discord. But with this one, we got a damn.
We did.
That movie was amazing.
It was.
Yeah,
that wasn't the only reaction. We got a couple reactions out of him.
When he can't help himself, you know it's fucking good. But so Children of Men is directed by Alfonso Cuarón, one of my favorite filmmakers. It was co-written by him as well. And this, of course, well, maybe not of course, maybe you don't know, but this is an adaptation of a P.D. James novel from 1992 called The Children of Men. And Alfonso Cuarón took basically the plot of the book and sort of woven it into his own story. But this film tells the story of a futuristic dystopia. We love those types of movies.
We do, and this one,
as Marvin said,
2006.
Yeah, as Marvin said, it was.
Well, it's 20 years from when it was made.
Yeah,
so.
It's set in 2027, not far off from where we're currently at. Okay, it's only a couple years away.
Better have them babies now, because you know what I'm saying.
Yep, and the plot takes place during 2 decades of human infertility, which left society on the brink of collapse, and asylum seekers are basically seeking sanctuary in the United Kingdom. The UK is like the last bastion
of all places
of humanity.
England is fucking
and
killing it, apparently.
Yeah, and because of the influx of asylum seekers, or as the film calls them, fugitives,
fugitives.
I'm assuming that's short for. But they are the fugitives. The asylum seekers are subjected to detention and all sorts of atrocities by the government, which has now become a police state. And the film stars Clive Owen, the greatest James Bond who never was. Just when humanity ends, that'll be like the biggest tragedy of our civilization, is that Clive Owen never played James Bond.
Got to, yeah.
Well, no, he I think he doesn't want to. I think he's turned down the role.
Yeah, he doesn't.
What the story is.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
It's God, bro. I don't know what you're doing with your life, but anyway, Clive Owen plays a civil servant named Theo Faron, and he is contacted by his estranged ex-wife, Julian, played by Julianne Moore, to help her basically escort a refugee named, what's her name?
Key, I think.
Key. Yeah. And Key's got a little secret that we find out.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she is
after 18 years, 3 months, 27 days.
Yeah, and she is pregnant with a baby.
Yeah.
And Clive Owen, Mr. Theo, gets he has a what was initially like him doing something just for money turned into him doing something for a greater reason.
He was kind of thrown into the mix. Yeah.
Similar to a show we've all watched recently.
What's that?
The Last of Us.
Yeah,
it is.
I wonder how
very
much
similar,
this influenced The Last of Us.
I would imagine
I saw
quite
a lot
bit.
of parallels. Yeah.
Real quick, whose phone is freaking out right now? Somebody's staticking. It's phone.
I don't know.
Phone stuff. Maybe it's mine. I don't know.
I don't hear it, so it's probably one of us.
Oh, all right.
I don't hear it, and I can't see the green bars.
I don't know.
It's covered up.
So all good.
Good luck.
So yeah, I think this is a super interesting the way the movie, and there are some quotes that I'll get to, but so Alfonso Cuarón like specifically didn't want to explain anything really about this movie, about why women became infertile.
Yep.
He doesn't explain. Really,
I don't mind that.
No, it actually makes the film great. I've said this many times when talking about like horror movies specifically. Yeah.
If you explain too much, it takes away the mystery.
Not only the mystery, it makes it a different type of film. In this case, it makes it like a straight sci-fi film, which it's really not.
Yeah.
But I really like how the movie kicks off with basically setting up the world and how turbulent the times are, right? You're right from the first scene when Theo walks into the coffee shop, you're hearing the news on the TV, and you hear all the anti asylum seeker propaganda, and then it very quickly jumps into the fact that the youngest person alive was killed at 18 in an altercation, and
fucking crazy.
You're just immediately
He was probably a piece of shit, but still died nonetheless.
Immediately pulled into the world.
Yes.
Like almost immediately immersed. That's how I felt.
Absolutely, yeah. And then he's there's the terrorist attack on the cafe that he just walked out of, which basically puts you into his perspective of like, oh wow, like we're all just teetering
I almost blew up today
on the edge of fucking death.
Yeah.
But Theo has a pretty depressing backstory. I mentioned that Julianne Moore's character is his estranged wife. They hadn't seen each other in 20 years up until now when she contacts him, but they had a child of their own who died during a pandemic, a flu pandemic that the film mentions a few times. Yep. So he's got a little bit of a, it's an interesting perspective for a character because in a world where children are no longer able to be had, he had a child and then lost the child. It's different, right? It's like he personally lost a child that he had, and now the world lost the ability to have children altogether. So it's an interesting bit of character development for his character. So talking about lack of explanation, there's no real. They don't really explain why the world became the way it was with like this fucking war and global depression and stuff. But again, not really needed because you could see why. So I wanted to bring this up, and
logic dictates that in that scenario, people will. And this is what I found fascinating is that like the UK was still a polite place where they were like you could drive down the street in a Bentley or a Benz and not immediately get attacked and assaulted by rioters and protesters.
Well, no, because there were specific sections of London where we spend most of the time in the film that were cordoned off. You could see at the end of the film, they were in like a fucking prison, basically, which was where...
That shit was insane.
Which was where all the refugees were. When he went to meet his cousin, who was a government official, it was like a very different society. So it's sort of like structured in a way where like, the top people in society are much more comfortable and even
they're shielded.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. But the opening scenes, he was still driving through like protests and whatnot. And I feel like in the real world where those protests are, it would not be necessarily like, if it was that dystopian, people would be more volatile, I think.
Well, I think that's what the film shows. Go ahead, Marvin.
I was going to say, I think they just have already separated out the actual like crazies from that bubble of like the mainland, so to speak. Because when they drive out and when they get attacked outside, Like when they're driving to the farm, they get fucking, they get attacked. And
yeah, I just think that's a futile look at it. I think maybe realistically, that's not as feasible as it would play out. I think it's a lot more volatile all the way through. Even in we pushed out the crazies, you're still going to have crazies where you're at. It's unavoidable.
But that's what the opening of the film establishes. That's why, like, he's going about a seemingly normal morning, getting a cup of coffee,
and then the bomb
in a normal part of London where like everything's fine.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, there's a terrorist attack, and then you see on his ride home from work how like slowly but surely outside, like you start to see little glimpses of like, oh, the train has fucking cages on the windows, and and the train is going
and
past.
You see him go through like the slums.
He's going through the slums where there are refugees being like fucking hoarded into cages and shit, and not quite unlike.
And they're throwing shit at the train too.
Yep, they're throwing shit at the train because he's considered part of the society that's
concentration camps.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, interesting to note, and I wanted to bring this up to you guys. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I can see a path between where we're at in real life in society and this film. Maybe not in 4 years, because this film again takes place in 2027. But I feel like you could easily see. It was interesting watching this movie in 2023. I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah, no, it was.
But
I think that's
it has been a while.
I think what you said about it not being needed to be explained, what happened to the world, is because we all kind of know, like, we're in a fucked up world in some ways, and we could easily see how it could lead to, like you're saying, it could, if some things were to happen, more and more things, it could easily lead to this type of situation. Yeah.
Well, where I see society right now that we're living in real life, it's just a tinderbox waiting to go up, and it's teetering on a very, very thin edge where it could go one way or the other. And I think social media plays a big part in that. We've talked about that before. I don't think there's ever been a time in society where we've had like this much information at our fingertips, which, as we see play out, has both good and bad consequences, right? There's a lot of good information to be had from social media and the internet, but there's also a lot of bad. So I could see a path between something like where we're living and this, because we're in a time where like the price of everything is going up. People are desperate. People are losing their homes. We just got out of a fucking 3-year pandemic that killed millions of people. Like, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and you could see how like one thing could set it off to where you do have like a fucking, where society just becomes on the brink of collapse. If something worse were to happen, like COVID, we've talked about this before, as bad as it was, like globally, it was like fucking baby games comparatively to what could happen. If there was some sort, like the bird flu.
And that's why I think the movie played it down a little bit. Like going back to it, like the way they played up the peacefulness in order in London. And because what you're talking about is like, well, this is only like 3 or 4 years away from where we are now, but they're in a world where there hasn't been a birth in 2 decades.
No, I'm saying like, maybe not in the amount of time.
If you want to talk about how society is today versus how society is in 20 years when nobody's had a single child.
Yeah.
I think the movie took luxuries and is how peaceful society would be. Like, I think it. Well, no, I think it'd be a lot worse.
I think
than what the movie portrayed it.
Well, no, I think you're not accounting for like a huge point of the film, which it's very briefly shown on the TV, like
chaos everywhere else, anarchy.
The UK is the only place it's like one of the few remaining nations with a functioning government. Yes, like the rest of the world is fucking crumbling.
It's the same thing with like.
I think everybody would have crumbled, is what I'm saying.
It's the same thing with like Last of Us, really.
There's no way a government would hold.
What were you saying, Marvin? Last of Us?
It's the same thing with like Last of Us, because it's already 22 decades in. It's 20 years have passed almost. So
right.
It's like, I'm sure at some point it was more chaotic, or one country is falling down, but if it's not like they're just instantly separating all the crazy fanatic people at once. It's like they're weeding them out like over this time. They're cracking down. It's like they build up like a system, and it's like right. It's not something that just happens overnight, right? So
well, in this film, it's really the government is doing what they're doing because of because society crumbled everywhere else. The influx of refugees has people like we see that in real life. Like you have,
Yeah.
The unknown element drives people fucking crazy. So the government's response to it is to become some fascistic police state. So that's really what's happening. So the government is functioning here, just not for everybody. And that's the plot of the film is that like you have your normal everyday society, and then the refugees and the government specifically trying to deal with the refugees. Like a lot of the stuff in the film that you see, the tensions and the violence and stuff in this movie has nothing to do with like the citizens of England. It's about the refugees. And then the Fishes, the terrorist group that Julianne Moore is part of, like they're the ones fighting for the end of basically equal rights for refugees and immigrants. No, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No.
I was just gonna say to add on to when the people are brainwashed into, you see signs around and there's propaganda. If you see a refugee, let someone know or turn them in. So people are like conditioned to. So like there won't be these big like sects. There won't be these big sects of like refugees because everybody's telling on them because they don't want to get in trouble themselves too.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing. So you, again, imagine a world where you have like one or a few nations that have a functioning government. You're going to get an influx of immigrants. They're at the point where they can't control the influx of both legitimate refugees and illegal refugees. And that's why this
is none.
Well, that's why this tyranny starts.
I think that's what I'm trying to say is like, I believe personally in a world such as that, there would be no law and order. You would not find a country where they dictated some sort of martial law and said, yes, you're going to go to work and you're going to do some accounting. No child has been born in 20 fucking years and we're all probably going to die, but you're going to come and you're going to do some banking and accounting and it's going to be fun. Like, I don't think that world exists. Well, so there is a little bit of... Like, I don't believe that the law and order that they were able to maintain in London it would exist in that world. I don't seeing what we've seen in our real world today after 2 or 3 year pandemic. I don't think after 20 years of something that you would see that sort of calmness. You might, but you never know.
Part of the non-explanation of the film is we don't know where the world fell apart within this 20 years. And we don't know at what point we're meeting England.
I mean, you get a brief explanation from the nurse. She's like, I remember, we had a lot of miscarriages.
Let me finish because we don't know where we are in the timeline. Yes, we know that children haven't existed for 20 years, but we don't know at what point during this 18 years. We don't know at what point during this 18-year period society actually began to collapse. And at what point you would assume that it was like a fucking domino effect and slowly but surely.
I would say within the first 5 years.
But we don't know where we are in England dealing with this stuff. Like we might have joined them in the last moments of their functioning government. It's hard to really tell. So I don't know if that's necessarily an important thing to fixate on. But the film is also about like the real message of the film is actually about hope and faith. And it explores these themes and it's having those
it's about despair too.
Yeah, and it's about having hope and faith in the face of these overwhelming, overwhelming futility and despair and stuff. And the novel actually describes what happens when society is unable to reproduce. It uses male infertility as the explanation to the problem. And I
was thinking about that when I was watching it. Like, is it a combination? Is it,
is the males or the females or both? Yeah.
Because normally the females are like blamed. Well, like when I think of Handmaid's Tale, for example, like I don't know if you guys have seen it or know the premise, but
I know the premise, but I haven't watched it.
Yeah. There's these women, the wives of these commanders are usually, when they're not fertile, they bring in the handmaid, which is like someone that's like a surrogate mother, a forced surrogate mother.
Yeah.
And then later on, you found out there's this one wife that was actually able to have a kid. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, no, I was just gonna say. So in the novel, it's actually it's made clear that hope depends on future generations. The author of the novel writes, "It was reasonable to struggle, to suffer, perhaps even to die, for a more just, a more compassionate society, but not in a world with no future, where all too soon the very words justice, compassion, society, struggle, evil would be unheard echoes on an empty air." So the movie does, again, it does no explanation of this stuff. It plays a little bit with like a religious theme, because you see some people are like saying like it's God's punishment and this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah. And the nurse is like a fanatic, like doing these weird dances and stuff.
But Alfonso Cuarón has a explanation. Here's a quote from him. He says, "There's a kind of cinema I detest, which is a cinema that is about exposition and explanations," which I've echoed plenty of times. "It's become now what I call a medium for lazy readers. Cinema is a hostage of narrative, and I'm very good at narrative as a hostage of cinema." And so he has this disdain for backstory and exposition, and that's why he eventually wanted to use this concept of infertility. And it's a metaphor for, just the fading of hope, right? I mean, if we lived in this type of world, you have no hope. Humanity's dead. If you can't reproduce, it's over.
Yeah.
So, that's why in the film in the story you have that like it's almost like mythical, the Human Project. They talk about it a lot during the film.
Yeah.
Michael Caine's character is talking about it to Theo before he's even thrust into all this, and Theo, it's almost like conspiracy theory, because Jasper.
I was gonna say that, yeah, it's mythical, but it's also like conspiracy theory.
Well, Jasper's like a pothead UFO fucking nut.
Yeah,
and he's
trying to tell a joke.
Yeah, and he's saying like, hey, this Human Project, they're like trying to figure out like why women can't have children and like how to fix it and restore hope. And that in the film is turned into a metaphor for basically like the evolution of the human spirit. And
it was a good joke too. You remember the joke? What he said?
What was it?
He was like, they can't figure out why we can't have all these babies. And they're asking the guy that's quiet in the corner who's eating, and the guy has a big wing in his hand. It is he was like, I don't know, but this is some good stork.
Yes, that stork tastes good.
That is a good joke.
Yeah.
Stork.
So yeah. Again, Alfonso Cuarón, he believing that explaining things such as the cause of the infertility and the Human Project would just create like just pure science fiction, right? At that point. So, all things together, movie's really just a metaphor about hope, and it's also a metaphor for like just us growing as a civilization, right? And yeah, I think that is a pretty powerful message. There's a very powerful scene.
Some counterpoints to that.
A lot of powerful scenes, bro.
Let's hear your counterpoints. I always love some dusty counterpoints.
Well, I mean, I think one of the most salient points in the movie is when the baby starts crying at the end.
Yep.
And everybody stops.
That was a good scene.
Right? Everybody stops and you're like, holy shit.
And
that's where like that goes back to, his like, just go public. That would have changed everything. And that's all they really had to do. But in that scene where like after like everybody in the hotel or whatever, the building, the hospital they were in, after they get out and then all the soldiers looking them down the street, like somebody up in the hotel is like, all right, I'm done now. Ready to shoot some fucking rockets and kill some people again.
Back to
let's
reality,
blow some shit up. And we're immediately back to war. And I think like that transformation, like that scene of like, oh my God, like humanity just did something amazing. And everybody stopped. Everybody shut up. Everybody looked. It was all the focus. And then as soon as that focus just like dwindled in one person's mind, you were immediately thrown back into the war that they were in and the devastation and everything else. And it didn't even matter that baby was there anymore.
Nope.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've seen this at times in the real world as well. Not so much during COVID, but during, an event that it was very close to home for me, literally at my home, but 9/11, there was like for a while after that, like the country was united under a common thing, but you really saw it in New York and
Murrah Building too.
And yeah, you still kind of see it here. And I don't know, I can't speak on other states because I don't come from there. But New York is like one of those places. Like it's a very while it might not seem like it because there's millions of people living here and all that, it's a very like communal place where people like care about each other. I feel like another example of this is actually recently
not in Manhattan.
No, it is. It is.
I mean, it's that way everywhere. Yeah, communities are going to care about like, communities. And stand up, and it extends out to countries.
No, it does.
And states. And
it does. But what I was saying, so I saw this really like firsthand when after 9/11 happened, like people came together and were caring about each other. They were for years afterwards. If you even go down to like the World Trade Center, like it was just quiet, like silence. It's like, but you know, that goodwill always eventually crumbles and falls apart. And that's kind of like what happened here in the film. But during that scene, like, you know, you have to still understand, it's like, this is these people who are in the building, like they are being oppressed. Like they are being oppressed.
They're being shot at with tanks and automatic weapons.
They're being oppressed by a tyrannical government. They're being kept in this city, which has been turned into this huge internment camp, essentially, is what it is. And the military is responding to actually the fishes blowing a hole in the wall to get in. But you know, it's this military exchange where people are fighting for their civil rights versus this oppressive tyrannical force. And it's very akin to like what we saw in Andor and those things. So you know, the moment with the baby though is poignant because like it is a overarching thing that like everybody could get around, you know what I mean? That's why the fighting stops momentarily. So
yeah, I saw it as like a glimpse of hope for a little bit.
100%.
Well, it's actually funny you mentioned that because the end of the film is also something that Cuarón talks about often in how he ended the movie. He says we wanted the end to be a glimpse of a possibility of hope for the audience to invest their own sense of hope into that ending. So if you're a hopeful person, you'll see a lot of hope, and if you're a bleak person, you'll see a complete hopelessness at the end. And it is sort of an ambiguous ending. Yes, we see the boat that may or may not confirm that it's the human project. We just see the boat, the Tomorrow, that is the boat that they talked about. We don't really know if it's the human project or if that exists. So so it could go either way. It's also pretty ambiguous whether or not Theo dies at the end. He just kind of like passes out. You don't know if he just like passed out from the wound or if he died or whatever.
We'll hand Luke.
So yeah, but so that scene I wanted to talk about, right? It's this movie, and Alfonso Cuarón plays with these shots often. He's a big fan of experimenting with one shots and one shots in films. I think we talked about it when we talked with Halloween. It's like the film industry's white whale. It's like a very hard thing to pull off, and when it's done right, it's fucking breathtaking and mind-blowing. And most of this the movie's shot on handheld, so that's why you always feel like you're in the movie. You're not just watching the movie. There are 16 shots in this film that are over 45 seconds long, most of which are gunfights and like car sequences and stuff. But one of those was that ambush scene earlier in the film when they are driving down the road and the flaming car comes. What they did was they designed a car, like this weird fucking car that's actually driving on like this fucking dolly thing, and the roof was open and there's a camera moving freely throughout the car. So it actually, whatever they engineered, and when we make the video for this, I'll drop some behind the scenes footage in because it's actually amazing. But what they did,
that scene was incredible.
What they did was they allowed for this camera to be in the car and to move freely around the actors and stuff. And actually, the actors had to move out of the way of the camera when they were out of frame. But that whole sequence is so elaborately choreographed that it's just unbelievable engineering and like creativity that did that scene. And that doesn't even account for all the other stuff that they have to do too, which is the fucking ambush and the crowd and throwing shit at the car and the motorcycle crash and a fucking gunshot wound. And it's such a fucking unbelievable scene. And the scene ends with them actually getting out of the car. And in one shot scenes, a lot of times they hide cuts. And this is most notable in Halloween, that intro to Halloween is a one shot when he's walking through and you're seeing it through his eyes. But the cut is actually when he picks the clown mask up and puts it on his face. There's like there's like a moment where like the screen blacks out and then you see the eye holes, right? So that's where they hid the cut. In this, they get out of the car, in which we now know is like this fucking mishmash, fucking fake car vehicle camera thing. But when they get out of the car, it's a fully fucking car. Like it looks like a car, and it's such a seamless cut that you just don't know where it is, and I don't know where it is. It's unbelievable to me that they did that.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing.
But the most notable scene is the one we were just talking about, which is the 6.5 minute, phenomenally intricate handheld shot when Theo is on that road before they go into that apartment building. That whole sequence is a single shot. When
getting into the building and then getting out
it's 6 minutes and 17 seconds. I don't know exactly when it starts. I think it starts when Charlie Hunnam, the guy with it's actually Charlie Hunnam. I never knew that until now, but
it is
the guy with the dreadlocks, the white guy.
When they run inside and then he tries to follow them in.
It's before that when the tanks start coming down the street, I believe.
Oh wow! And so when he hides behind and the people are like, "Yo, get out of!"
Theo's running from like cover to cover, and they take the baby into the apartment building, and then up into the apartment building, and he has the confrontation with Chiwetel Ejiofor's Luke, and when Luke's in the corner and he's like, "Oh, it's a girl. Well, I have a sister." Blah blah blah, and then back out, and then the fighting stops. That is all one single shot.
Wow!
And it took 2
Real
weeks.
Quick,
Go ahead.
When his realization when he's told him it was a girl, he was like, "Oh my god!" Like this changes everything almost. Like,
well, because it's women that have the inability to get pregnant in the film. So you would imagine that the daughter of a woman who got pregnant would also be able to be pregnant. That sparks humanity back into play. But so a 6 minute and 17 second shot took 2 weeks, 2 nonstop weeks of rehearsal. And if there was any mistake, it took over 5 hours to reshoot.
Oh my god.
And they had to reshoot it 3 times. And
fuck.
Yeah. And the director of photography on this movie, Emmanuel Lubezki, aka Chivo, who's a legend in the film industry, most recently worked on Amsterdam that we covered here on the channel. This poor guy had to carry around like a fucking 20-pound camera or some shit for the duration of the shot. They had to do fucking multiple times. So pretty insane. But a wonder like that, again, takes you out of experiencing watching the movie and really puts you into it. And the whole movie does that. Like you very much always feel like you're a part of what's happening. That explosion in the beginning, it's like you feel like you're on the street. When you're following him in the fighting, you feel like you're there with him.
I think that goes to like the sound.
Oh yeah.
I guess it's like the mixing or something it sounded really good.
Yeah, the sound design in this movie is great. Even the moments that, again, remember this is in 2006 too. CGI is not where it was. It was not where it is now. And there's some CGI stuff. Probably the Molotov cocktail on the car earlier in the movie was CGI. The baby was CGI. The baby coming out of the
baby was super CGI, but it wasn't that bad.
But it's passable is the thing.
It was passable.
I was surprised by that. So just amazing fucking filmmaking involved in this movie in every regard. And great cast, actually. I didn't even realize because I saw this movie when it first came out. Funny enough, my friends and I. This movie came out in limited release. I'm pretty sure. And here in New York, when movies come out in limited release, you have to go to the city to see them. And we went to a midnight showing the night before New Year's, and we were walking back to the train station to go back home after the movie was over, and it was like 2:33 in the morning, and the streets were fucking empty, which is really, as you know, not a normal occurrence in Manhattan. And it was just empty because it was the night before New Year's or whatever. And we were walking back to the train station, and this fucking dude, I was smoking a cigarette at the time, and I'll never forget, this dude just like came out of the shadows of like some fucking alley or whatever, and was like,
Yeah.
in the creepiest possible way, to ask me for a cigarette. He was like, yo, man, yo, listen, I know what you're thinking. This is weird. I listen, I know, I get it. But, yo, bro, you mind if I get a cigarette off you? I was like, you could have just fucking asked, like a normal fucking person, you weirdo. I was like clutching my key, ready to fucking stab this dude in the jugular. Yeah.
Yep. I don't know.
But
I love the cast. I actually thought, I was like, after looking it up, I was like, damn, am I like maybe a little racist? Because I felt like Key, I thought when I first saw Key, I was like, that can't be Lupita, right? That's not.
You racist, Marvin?
It wasn't at all.
No. It does. I mean, she looks like her a little bit, though.
First glance, when I first saw her,
yeah.
When I see her more, I'm like, no, it's not. But
yeah, I mean, other than the main cast, Clive Owen, Michael Caine, Julianne Moore, and Chiwetel Ejiofor, I had no idea that, so like I didn't know that Charlie Hunnam was in this movie. I would have not have known that was him unless I read it in the cast list.
100%. Yeah.
He was in a couple of bangers there in the early 2000s.
Was he?
He was in Cold Mountain, Green Street Hooligans, and Children of Men, one after the other. Those are all great movies. Did
you guys recognize Theo's cousin Nigel that he goes to visit for the passports or whatever?
Yeah.
Yes.
Danny
Hudson. Houston. That's the fucking dude from Yellowstone, the first couple seasons. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sure is.
So
I did.
Yeah, and
he was so young in this.
Yeah, I barely I didn't I recognized him now watching it again, and then I was just like, wait, who the fuck is this guy? I looked it up, and sure enough, I knew who he was. But
I really enjoyed this movie, bro. This is one of the rare movies that I have to watch again.
Yeah, how could you not?
Like soon, I need to watch it again.
Watch it
it's like
again.
one of those things where it's
Makes
like little
watch
things. Yeah.
Well, this is one of those movies that's like it's like the perfect cinematic experience. Like we said, it's like you have all these like brilliant filmmakers working on, not just director, but director of photography. DPs usually a lot of times are like underappreciated or not even recognized at all, but they're the ones that like are deciding on framing the shots and this, that, and the other, like how stuff is going to function and work. And obviously
it's definitely one of those make you think movies. I think there are some like, does it hold the test of time? Does it still make you think 20 years later? Does it hold up?
Yeah.
Yeah, mostly. So. There's still, you can poke a couple holes in it.
I think it's more relevant now than it was when it came out.
Definitely makes you think. Yes, absolutely. I do.
That's why I posed the question earlier. Like I could see again, we live in 2023. This movie takes place in 2027. It's only a 4-year period. Maybe not in 4 years, but I could certainly see how we go from where we are currently as a society to where this movie is. Because again, I do think we're living in like a tinderbox that's just it's like one proper spark could fucking set everything off, I think. What that will be or can be, I don't know. But again, the ultimate message of the movie is like hope and coming together as a civilization, because like, we've never really been tested as a civilization up until now. And like, we've never really been faced with our extinction. And regardless of what you believe, science tells us we are facing that for the first time, obviously not within the next 4 years or so, but there is certainly a timeline on where humanity might not be around anymore. And the only way to save that is to come together as a civilization to fight these problems, whether that be climate change or fucking some sort of fucking virus that fucking is a product of climate change. We've talked about like permafrost viruses and stuff. Shit's gonna get real wild at some point. But even a virus that already exists,
like the thing, but worse.
Like the bird flu, right? The bird flu exists. We know about it, and it's very, very deadly, very deadly. But the one saving grace is that it is not good at jumping from person to person the way COVID was. So imagine a virus like that all of a sudden just being one day, because it happens. That's how fucking evolution works. Hey, the bird flu has the ability to transfer from person to person. Like, that's why I said earlier, COVID is like baby game compared to other things.
You're in and out of the realm of reality there, but sure.
I'm not, but go ahead. Tell me why I'm not. Tell me why I am.
Okay. Well, the most deadly viruses that man has ever seen are slow to spread, not fast to spread.
That's what I'm
So it
saying.
wougoing to be something like COVID or the bird flu.
That's literally what I was just saying.
Those are not deadly.
That's
not going to affect us at all in any way. There are things that could wipe us out, and
you're saying the exact same thing I'm saying. I just want you to know that. I literally just said what you just said. So thank you for paying attention to me. But no, there are things that we could face as a civilization and are that need to be taken seriously. And this is a movie that really showcases that in a different way. Like imagine how fucked up that would be if all of a sudden women are just like, oh yeah, we can't have babies. Oh shit. Like would society collapse the way it has in the film? Probably. Or would we come together as a civilization and try to fix the problem? I haven't seen any signs that would be the case yet, but
it'd be worse.
Keep hope alive. Depends on what kind of person you are. And interestingly enough, though, speaking about this stuff, I recently found out today that I forget who announced it. Some medical group. Let me see if I can find it real quick. It was actually pretty amazing. I forget who it was, but anyway, apparently by the end of the decade, there will be cancer and heart disease vaccines that, they think, and it's largely in part due to the COVID vaccine and mRNA technology that helped develop these, but they think that
sign me up.
Yeah, they think that they could be so precise that they could actually, essentially, you go into the doctor and you have a specific type of cancer, a vaccine could then be developed on, like, not on the spot, but like, to treat that specific type of cancer or heart disease or whatever. So, again, technology.
We're close.
Technology and information could be an amazing thing, but could also be a dangerous thing. That would have been interesting to throw into the movie too, because there really isn't any like sort of narrative about like the spread of information and stuff like that. Though
technology is a blessing and a curse to humanity.
Sure is.
We have unlimited potential with the technology we have.
Yep.
And we use it for TikTok and Snapchat and Instagram and Twitter. And it's abusive and egregious.
But again, those things,
failing ourselves by abusing it the way we do.
I mean, not necessarily, because again, those things could be used for good. TikTok is currently being used to organize millions of young kids to stop oppression in certain places.
Also, two things can coexist. Like,
absolutely.
You can have people working on TikTok and people working on
for sure,
things for the greater good of humanity and these sorts of things.
Well, yeah.
What we don't need is billions of dollars going to the military.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, no, that's a foregone conclusion there. But also, all right, final thing to note, talking about I was sucking the dick of the one shot. The one shot was pioneered by the GOAT. Fucking now I'm fucking up his name. God damn it. What is wrong with me?
Look.
Feel bad, gotta Google it. It's all right. It happens to the best of us.
Now you're fucking me up. Norman Bates. Who the fuck is the guy who made that movie? Come on, bro.
Psycho?
This shit's getting cut out of this fucking podcast for sure. I'm looking like a bitch.
Alfred Hitchcock?
Alfred Hitchcock pioneered the one shot. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say. Yep. So yeah, great movie. Poignant story. Everything about this movie is perfection in my eyes. The way it was shot, the soundtrack, the acting, all that stuff. It has a 7.9 on IMDb. Very high.
That's
I don't know.
Too low.
I don't even know why it's not higher. So I'm bumping this bitch up to a 9, baby.
Ooh, shit. I was going to say 8.5. I think I'm going to do 8.5. I really enjoyed this.
All right,
what were your favorite scenes after we get Dusty's rating?
I think that's generous. I think.
What?
Given the society we live in, I don't think that 20 years later, it's an accurate reflection on what society would do. 7.5.
You're giving it a lower rating because it didn't predict
He's
the
fixated
future.
on the one thing.
That's right.
It didn't predict the future, so you didn't like it as much as we did. Okay, that's fair. Fair enough.
Not an accurate depiction of what society would do if that were to happen.
What do you think?
Maybe you're giving too much credit to the people and not enough credit to the oppressive government that keeps us.
I'm giving too much credit to the people.
Today.
I think that society would be a lot worse.
It is worse.
And
the whole world has collapsed. What are you not getting? England is the only place that's functioning, and barely.
It is worse.
It would be worse, is what I'm saying.
How much worse
20
can you
years
get?
of a child not being born, we would be total war, everything. There would not be a peaceful place in the world.
There isn't. That's the fucking place we're in the film. What are you not getting?
Okay. Yeah, people still wake up and go to work in this.
But again, barely. We don't know where we are in the evolution of England.
Wouldn't live in that world 20 years.
Once this, bro, the movie did you
doing
not,
the dusty
you can't
thing
change
right
my mind on that.
I'm not.
If society was collapsing for 20 fucking years, we would not have people waking up and going to work in today's IRL society.
But
it's not going to happen.
But you don't
never happen.
I feel like you tragically misunderstood this movie because the whole
we don't know what took place in 18 years.
Well, no, forget the 18 years. We don't even know what happens tomorrow in the film because the movie ends. No, hang on. The movie ends in like a complete all-out war between the refugees, the freedom fighters, and the government. So much so that by the end of the film, fucking the city that they were in is getting bombed by fucking jet fighters that fly over.
Yeah.
So
I think this is a great piece on how humanity would react in an instance where there's a realization that a child was born 2 decades after a child was never born.
Well, no,
I think that's a great depiction. It's a great movie.
But that's not even correct either because the world doesn't know about the baby. We don't know.
I'm wrong about everything.
No.
Yeah, we do. We see it. We actually see people reacting to knowing that the baby exists.
But not
that's
the world.
Part of the movie. Okay. So, all right. So you want to misconstrue what I'm saying. I'm talking about how this movie shows people
going to work,
reacting to a baby being born.
Yes.
I think that's accurate.
Yes.
And very well played out and perfect. If you want to talk to me about how this movie depicts society after 20 years of a child not being born and everything's futile, I think they did it terribly wrong. I think they could do something greatly right and terribly wrong at the same time. I don't know why you think I'm being unfair to say that the society wouldn't be shittier if fucking we lived for 20 years and there wasn't a child, because I think it would be. There wouldn't be a London where people would wake up and go to fucking work and drive Bentleys around. Everything would be burning to the goddamn ground and people would be starving and dying. It would be abysmal.
But that is what's happened. It's why I'm arguing with you is because
it's not. It's not. There's some semblance still in this movie of a societal structure, and I don't think that would exist, and I think that's where they got it wrong.
But it's being held onto by.
But everything else that it depicted was great.
But it's being held onto by a thread. That's why the government is reacting in the way that they're reacting, is because they're about to lose everything to people that they consider outsiders.
Right, and I'm saying they already would have lost it.
I don't.
It's up for debate.
I don't think it is. I feel like it's a judgment based on just inaccurate information. Like it doesn't get much worse than what this world portrays. Like Michael Caine's character is living in the fucking woods and he's hiding the entrance to his driveway because things are so bad.
Yeah,
you're driving by fields of burned fucking. No, he has
bodies.
Generators and stuff.
They're driving gasoline powered cars around. It's not that bad.
They're driving by fields of like burned fucking cattle and shit. Like society is not good.
And cars powered by gasoline.
Are they powered by gasoline? The movie doesn't explain it.
It's not that dystopian is all I'm saying. I don't know why that's a fucking unfair criticism. It's not that dystopian. It could be a lot more dystopian than they portray it.
I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I don't think
I think it would be a lot more darker in reality than what this film depicts. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the way the film depicts it. They do a good job of showing that it
you're
is
just
somewhat
disregarding
dystopian.
the rest of the world. This is a lens only on one place.
Not at all. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
The world has ended essentially in this, and that's why everybody is flooding England. That's like why the tension exists.
Yeah.
And England is not a functioning society. That's the whole point of the film. That is not a functioning society. That is a government trying to hold on to.
They were being generous.
Barely a fucking shred of civilization.
They would have been gone 5 or 10 years ago. They were being generous.
Okay, so it's the time frame you have an issue with. Anyway, to answer Marvin's question, my favorite. I mean, I don't see how I could have a favorite scene that's not the 6.5 minute single shot. I mean, that for more than just like the
that's fair.
The technicality of how it was achieved, but also because of like, you know, all the things we've talked about, the poignancy, how like a fucking war just stops dead because it's like, oh my God, a fucking baby. And for a moment you have people on both sides of the issue coming together to appreciate it until the fucking missile gets fired. What's yours?
My favorite scene is actually when they're being transported to, I think it was called Newcastle or something.
Yep.
Well, when they walk through and it's like they walked into hell, the transition from like normal England to this like hellish place was probably my favorite scene because it was just so drastic of a change.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
There's another similar thing too is they do that a lot actually, like transitional shots. Yeah. The one where they were being chased out of the apartment building by the fucking who's the guy what was his name? The fascist pig.
Oh, what are you talking about? Yeah.
Where like the
cop guy.
Yeah, like the camera's steady on them, like fucking trying to fucking get stuff through the door, and then you pop out and you're like, oh shit. And then there's the scene where they go before that tracking shot when they go through that tunnel and the music changes. It's like,
yeah.
There's a lot of like cool transitional things. What was your favorite scene, Dusty?
I like the scene where Clive first found out. I thought that was great.
Oh, in the barn.
That was a great scene.
I did talk about the salient scene where the baby's crying and they're walking downstairs at the end, and that is a great scene. But when Clive finds out, like when he realizes what he's into, she's sitting there and with the cows, and she's talking, you know, in euphemisms, I guess. And then she drops her robe, and he's like, "Holy fucking shit!
Yeah,
you're gonna have a baby."
Yeah,
like that
was a good one.
That was a banger of a fucking scene that I thought was just incredible.
There's a lot of stuff that the movie does too, little things that play off the theme, but things you wouldn't think of. Like, you know, if it's easy to get lost in the fact that like, oh shit, civilization's going to end because we can't have babies. But you don't really, I feel like it'd be easy to miss the fact that like when she explains that, like, she doesn't know how to be a mother because mothers haven't really been like that. Nobody's had to be a mother forever. So like she does, like she says it, I think too at one point, like, you know, I never learned how to like do this stuff or whatever. She also doesn't know who the father is, and she's like kind of flippant about it, where she's like, well, I don't know, I fucking lost count about how many people I've slept with. It could be anybody. Because in a world where
the old lady is singing to the baby and the other lady, you know, it's just something that they've done that they're used to.
Yeah.
They haven't been able to do in 20 fucking years.
Right. And you know, in our real life, right, like having unprotected sex is irresponsible for several reasons, one being disease and stuff like that, but also having a child that you may or may not want. Well, they don't have this fucking problem.
Take care of,
they don't have this problem. So she's fucking doing whatever.
Yeah.
And now she has a fucking bitch. She's like, I don't know who the fucking father is. Like, so there's a lot of like little things that you don't consider would be the case, you know, because of whatever you want to call a pandemic or whatever this is that, you know, is never explored. But yeah, fantastic film though. Definitely.
This film showed the small interactions of humanity and how they would feel, I think, even under dire circumstances. It does a really good job of that. Yeah. Whether or not you agree, whether my criticism of the overall arching story of the plot makes sense, that doesn't matter. It does a very great job of showing humanity as humanity in the little.
Yeah, in both the micro
even
and
down to the like even down to like they're still smoking weed and looking for that little escape, you know?
Oh yeah.
It shows it in both the micro and the macro sense too, because the relationship between Theo and Julian, it mirrors what's happening with society, right? Because Julian and Theo lost their child and they've dealt with their own trauma. And then on the macro level, the world has lost the ability to have children, and it's dealing with that. So that was a really interesting thing as well. But
that's true.
Yeah.
I like how they kept showing Theo. He was kind of like a beacon of hope of his own, because throughout all the stuff that was happening, he just kept saying everything's going to be okay. Even so, like right after his friend was shot, he went back to the car. He's like, everything's going to be okay. Even to when he was shot in the boat, he's like, everything's going to be okay.
Right.
I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah, he was a pillar of hope. That's why she felt comfortable with him, and also because Julian was like, don't trust anybody but Theo. But yeah, this is in my top 5. Probably will be forever.
Yeah.
It's a great one.
Great movie. And I don't know. It's just everything about it is amazing. If you haven't seen it, for sure, go check it out. But anything else you guys want to say?
Nope. Just can't wait to watch it again.
Good. You gonna watch it with C?
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. Think she'll like it?
I think so.
Okay.
I do think there was a little bit of hubris with the terrorists there at the end. But
what do you mean?
Like they thought they knew better. Like, oh, this child is gonna make everything right for the uprising. We're fighting in a war right now. Let's take this child into a building.
Well, they wanted to use
bombarded
the baby
with tanks.
Yeah,
because we need to use this. Like there's a little bit of self-delusion there, which is a great depiction of.
Yeah, they wanted to use the baby as a bargaining chip for what their goals were, but their goals were like very
simple.
It's very simple, and that goes to show too. Like again, we have a lot of people in our own society who think they're doing things that are for the right reasons, but how those reasons might
everybody's
the
hero in their own story, right?
That is also true.
That's the trope.
Everybody's
the hero.
That is the trope. But yeah, that's gonna do it for us, folks. Thanks for listening. Go check out Children of Men if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, great movie, worth a watch. Clive Owen, I think, is underrated. He's been in some bangers.
He's an amazing actor. I love him so much. He's very handsome, very talented. I don't understand why
the bond that never was.
The bond that never was. Yep, that's for sure. But yeah, if you have seen Children of Men, reach out to us and let us know your thoughts on the film. Maybe there's some information in there that I neglected to talk about in terms of the filmmaking of it, because there's a lot.
That's why I'm saying
a lot of really good shots in this film. But yeah, tune in next week, same time, same place, and until then, have a good week, everybody.
See you.
Hasta.